Hi, this is Behind the Curtain, and I'm Betsy Jordan. Happy Labor Day weekend. Many of you will be out and about picnicking and out in this heat. I hope you'll stay hydrated and stay inside if you are sensitive to this heat. There have been real indices that indicate that it's like over 110 degrees, at least in the south and on the East Coast. So I gotta believe that some of you are not hydrated enough and probably not taking care of yourself in a way that you should. So a welcome, and today I am gonna talk to you about the Electoral College. Now, the Electoral College, the words Electoral College are not a place. It's not like a college or a university. It is a process, and that process was developed to elect our presidents. Now, the way that I have heard it put before was because there were some states that felt like they were inadequately represented. If it was just the popular vote, like states in the Midwest, who had large groups of people that didn't necessarily vote, but they were dependent on that economy, and that the economy there needed to dictate the rest of the country in some ways. I have also heard that it was a way of settling a dispute between people who believed that it should be based on the popular vote, that the popular vote should elect our president. There's a different group that needed for Congress to select a president. Well, I really, really think that it needs to be one person, one vote. But I truly believe in democracy, and I have faith in the American people. And I have faith that we want to preserve the United States of America, the land of the free and home of the brave. And our popular vote has shown that, by the way, that we want this United States of ours to remain the United States and to remain a democracy. But that's an illusion today, that it is one person, one vote. And to point that out to you is to say that the way that we have been electing our presidents in the past has been not anti-democratic, but certainly not the illusion of one person, one vote, and therefore our vote counts to elect a president, period. That is not how it happens. So the Electoral College was formed both to settle a disagreement and possibly is something that is no longer needed, since the major corporations are handling, distribution and production of food supply. It's become more of ends up showing up like there is a divide in our country between rural and urban. But if you look at it like, where are our citizens living and wanting to live, and who is actually determining who the president is, it really does matter that we take a look at this Electoral College and see about doing away with it. Now look, it is my opinion we should do away with it. That does not make me right. It just says, our presidents need to understand that they serve the voters, and they're the voters, not the Electoral College, because you end up having a much more conservative positioning in our national politics if you stick with the Electoral College than the people want. Joe Biden won in 2020 by a handful of Electoral College votes, but he won the popular vote by 7 million. That lets you know what that gap is. Like, the people, the 7 million extra people, wanted Joe Biden to win. But the Electoral College votes are determined pretty much by the political parties. And that's where we get back to that, yes, we have a two-party system. And yes, it does seem anti-democratic. And yes, some of that is controlled by the money, a lot of it. And so there's some things that need to be changed about campaign finance laws. And that, again, is in my opinion. So determining the Democratic nominee, for example, is through the policies of the way that selection process is in the Democratic Party. And I'm most familiar with the way the Democratic Party is in North Carolina and how the North Carolina laws have worked. If I can explain, I don't know that I'm going to explain this correctly, but each state has a number of electors, and they're based on representation in your congressional delegations. So it's all, the number of congressional members you have per state, plus that means members serving in Congress and senators. So 2 senators per state, plus the number of Congress people who are elected to Congress to serve as Congress people. Yeah. So each state has that, and DC is an exception. They have 3 electoral votes, representing, I guess, the minimum number of congressional people and senators, since each state has, and that's by amendment. Also, there are some amendments that actually control how the electors can serve. If you are someone who has been traitorous to our country or been involved in an insurrection, you cannot be an elector from your state. There are certain other things that disqualify you from serving as an elector, but generally speaking, they are chosen within each state according to political party representation, as well as the number of electors are determined by your congresspeople and your senators. And also, in general, the state's electors vote along the lines of, I skipped a step. Each party has a slate of electors. So after the election happens, those electors meet in the state capitol, and that's sometime in early December, I think, in every state, and they determine how they're going to vote based on what the popular vote was in the election in their state. And then, by and large, those electors pledge to vote a certain way based on the popular vote, and 99% of the time they have voted that way. If you want to understand more about this, I would suggest you research it a little more, just so that you understand the process of presidential selection. It's not the same as governor, or in our state, in North Carolina, governor and lieutenant governor are not running on the same ticket. In some states they do, but our state, it's been separate. So all the council of state members run individually, and all of the legislators, both House and Senate, are elected separately, but at the same time as the presidential election. It's just the selection for president is different than other elections in the country. And it is made different because of the Electoral College. There has been a movement afoot to abolish the Electoral College because it does not seem very democratic. It isn't. So I am really hoping we get rid of that dang thing, because it is so confusing and it seems archaic to me. I would say that when the rest of the world looks at us, they cannot figure it out. And it's very difficult to explain it in a very short video, and this is actually longer than I have ever given you a video of. So I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and again, be safe out there. This has been Behind the Curtain. Thank you for being here.